Hey y'all. So it's been 2 years now since I moved across the country. And I have to say, there are so many lessons that I've learned about myself, about the world, about the differences between the East Coast and the West Coast. But I have learned more about friendship than I think I could possibly read in a book or in a few therapy sessions or whatever. There is so much that you don't realize what your friendships are made of until you remove the convenience, you remove the proximity, and you remove like shared routine. Some friends you are friends with no matter what. Like you could move to Mars and you and this person will somehow still be friends. And then there are people who you live next door to and things just fizzle out. And that's what I wanted to talk about. There were a few things that I'd been thinking about my friendships and a few lessons that I have learned over the past few years. So, let's talk about it, okay? So, first and foremost, this one might be kind of obvious, but just proximity doesn't necessarily create connection, right? It still requires effort on both people's parts. It still requires, maybe some kind of shared interest, but mostly effort. And I say this because before I moved, there were some friends of mine who lived near where I was, and they actually moved to the East Coast before I moved here. Now, we're not like super near each other or anything, but there is a little bit of a different distance. Uh, but our friendship hasn't, since I've moved here, our friendship hasn't gotten any stronger, even though I'm like a drive away, versus before where it was like a 6 hour flight, 3 hour time difference. Now there's no time difference. And I've gone to that area like a couple times and it hasn't benefited our friendship at all. Not that like there's any animosity or anything. It's just being closer didn't automatically revive the friendship, you know? And again, there's no hard feelings or anything. It just, I think you realize that proximity makes things convenient, but it's not really what anchors a friendship for a lot of people. Like, if proximity is the only thing that you have, or if proximity is removed and those friendships end, really there was no foundation to begin with. Because in this day and age, like, we have FaceTime. If you want to be old, we have Zoom. We have, like, I'm pretty sure even like Instagram has like a chat feature where you can like video chat with people. Phone calls, obviously, like the way me and some of my friends will send 5 minute voice notes and be like, thank you for listening to my TED talk. Um, like, there are plenty of ways to communicate with people in the method that is most convenient and most comfortable for them. And if it still doesn't work, it still doesn't work. The foundation may have been a little shaky to begin with. And that's not to say anything bad about the other person. I don't necessarily think it was either of us. It just be like that sometimes. Two, going along with that point, distance doesn't kill friendships. Distance does not kill friendships. Like, one of my friends, actually, I was just talking to her 2 days ago. But when I lived in California, I met her when I think I went to visit. So, okay, for a little bit of context, I'm from the Bay Area, from the San Francisco Bay Area. And before I moved eventually to San Diego and I was living in San Diego for a couple years, I was going back and forth visiting family. So I met her, I think before I actually moved. And then later on ended up moving, and that's when we really ended up getting close. But I moved back to the Bay Area. So I moved from San Diego, where I met her, back to the Bay Area. She moved to Montana. And then I moved to the East Coast. And throughout that, our friendship has not suffered at all. Like, we still send each other random text messages. We still hop on FaceTime and somehow can still be on FaceTime for 3, 4, 5 hours. It just, the distance has not affected our friendship whatsoever. And I think, like, it's friendships like that where you realize that it's more than just a physical location that keeps you connected to somebody. Obviously it's effort, but I also think there's maybe fundamental aspects of certain friendships that keep you together through life changes, through big moves, through just all sorts of things, different chapters that you go through in life. And I think, if anything, it feels like adding distance brings maybe more clarity to a friendship. Because just like I mentioned before, there are people who, like, you move closer to them and it doesn't affect your closeness at all in terms of you not getting any closer to the person. And then there are other people where you move 3,000 miles away and it's like you're closer than ever. And it almost forces you, not forces you, but if you want to dig deeper into why it's like that, it does kind of force you to boil down the like essence of your friendship to see why it actually continues to work through multiple relationships, which both of us have been through multiple moves, through family tragedy, through identity shifts in some ways, different jobs and different, you know, yeah, the sometimes the relationships, the effort you put in to maintain them isn't what keeps them going. It's sometimes you need something other than proximity to keep you close to someone. And I think that's what I learned throughout that friendship. Okay. The next one, being in, I hesitate to use the word crisis, but being in crisis reveals who your people are faster than anything else. Because let me tell you, everyone loves to be near you when things are up. But the people that show up for you when you are down, like, what is it the rappers always say? Like, you got to get it out the mud. When you are down in the mud, don't nobody want to be crawling around in that with you, okay? It's only once you've reached the top that suddenly you have all these friends, all these people that want to be around you. But there were times after I moved where, like, obviously I'm here without family. And I'm starting pretty fresh. I knew a couple people when I moved, but I'm, actively building a new network, a new community around myself. And I got to a point both mentally and physically, like practically and mentally and emotionally, where I needed help. And for a couple reasons. One, I was in like a housing situation that I never expected to be in. It came out of nowhere. It wasn't anybody's fault. It just kind of happened. And also the emotional weight of moving to a new place by yourself, even though I was excited to move, even though I still think it was probably the best decision I could have made for myself, personally, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, all the things. I think it was probably the best decision I could have made for myself. You don't fully realize what that is going to do to you mentally and emotionally until you take the leap. And so there were multiple times where I was like, I need some support. I was calling people and I was like, hey, so I need help to get XYZ done in 24 hours. Can anybody help? And I had people that rallied around me. It's not like I had the longest history with these people. It's not like I had the most contact with them, if any, before the move. Some of them I met after I moved. And there were just people that showed up just because they're like, hey, we care about you. Hey, we appreciate you as a person. We want to make sure that you're good. And it's difficult to predict who those people are going to be before you have that moment of like, oh crap, I need help. And you see who comes through for you. Ooh, yeah, we're not gonna get too deep into that one. Okay, the next lesson is, sometimes you forget you write something and then you're like, oh God, I gotta talk about it. Okay, going along with that point, letting people help you is a friendship skill all on its own. And I have to regularly remind myself of this. It's one of those things, like therapists have therapists, because I tell my friends this all the time. There are a few of them and y'all know who y'all are. But I had to also learn this myself. I feel like I was not only raised to be, but was a person who tried to be the helper all the time, who wanted to be that friend in a crisis. When you need something, look, 2 a.m., pouring rain outside, I'm a drive to help you out. You know what I mean? Like, you show up, you try to hold things together, and you try to take care of the people around you. But when I moved, I was put in a little bit more of a vulnerable position because, like I said before, there are things that just come up that you don't expect. It doesn't matter how much money you have saved. It doesn't matter how much therapy you've gone through. It doesn't matter how much planning you have. Just life's, and life comes at you fast. And I'm reminded regularly of, how the Bible says, like, there's more joy in giving than receiving. There's more happiness in giving than receiving. And it's so easy to think about that when you're the one giving. But when you really think about it, if you are someone who needs help or just wants help and you don't allow someone to come through for you, you're also depriving other people of the ability, of the joy of helping you too. Like, there are people that cared about me that I did not allow, did not allow to help me because I needed to be independent and I needed to get things done on my own. And like, no, that was not my identifier, was the person that needed help. My identity is the person that helps. So what do I look like asking my friends to support me when I'm dealing with a bout of depression, when I need help moving, whatever. But there's a specific level of vulnerability in allowing yourself to be in in the on the receiving end of assistance, on the receiving end of help. And that vulnerability also helps to deepen a friendship. And it's a difficult one for a lot of us. I think, I don't want to say just for women, because men deal with it too, but for different reasons, I think it can just be really difficult to allow your people to show up for you. But again, I've gotten so much better at it, but it's something that I have to continue like thinking about and meditating on. Like, I am actively making it difficult for other people to get that satisfaction, that happiness, that joy of being a good friend, of assisting me when I need it, because I am too proud to ask. Or, oh, I don't want to bother anybody. That's a big one. I don't want to bother anybody. And that's not healthy for you or for the state of your friendships. So that was a big one for me. That is a skill that I am still currently cultivating and that I've had to actively work on since I moved. Okay. And I think overall, this move it's given me so much more insight into what makes a good friend in terms of what I want from my friendships going forward, but also what I want to give my friends, things that I want to allow myself to do and be with my friends, whether that's vulnerable, being more vulnerable, or showing up for them in ways that maybe I hadn't thought about previously. And there's also a level of humility that I've had to work on as a friend. You know, like there are things that I do think I'm really good at as a friend, but there are also a lot of things that I am learning about my friends individually, but also just generally being a friend. And we're only 2 years in. I'm only 30 years old. I know at 50 years old, I'll still be learning things about friends and friendships and whatnot. But I am curious for anyone else, maybe who's made a move or, had some significant things that altered your friendships. Like, what did it tell you? What did you learn from those experiences? And what does that make you want to do going forward? What's the resolve as you go forward in your friendships? I'm curious. So anywho, thank you for watching this video. If you don't know, my name is Alexis and I post here on YouTube every single day. So if you would like to continue hearing me yap about all things moving and navigating life as an adult while you're still trying to figure it out, even though by 30 years old, I thought I would have my life together, or traveling, or navigating career stuff if you're making a big career pivot, anything like that, feel free to subscribe, join the fam, join our cozy little corner of the internet. So anywho, thanks guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.